LSU got the jump that I think Utah deserved. I mentioned I was going to talk a little bit about LSU, and I'll talk a little bit about Utah too. But if UGA is the bar, right, the best team in college football, LSU got beat 50-30 in the SEC championship game. Now you're going to point to me and say they beat up on Purdue. I'm going to tell you that Purdue didn't have a head coach. Okay, full stop. Just going to do that. I'm also going to point out to you that Texas Christian made the national championship game, got beat 65-7. Would you say LSU is a better team than Texas Christian? Yeah, I would, because I did that too in my in my preseason poll. But I think LSU's got some stuff to prove for me, because it's not just that you lost the SEC SEC championship game by 20 in a game that I think was like 50-7 at one point. I might be wrong about that, but it felt really lopsided watching the game. They also got beat 40-13 by Tennessee, and Tennessee is loud about it. They wanted everybody to know they dumped on LSU, vaunted LSU. And then you're going to add to this that they escaped a mediocre Arkansas. Now, Arkansas finished 7-6 and need to pull out some fantastic fireworks to beat Kansas in the Liberty Bowl. But if Harold Perkins does not go ham in the Kanye West sense, we're not talking about LSU winning that football game. And if you're going to be a top 5 program, as you know, the AP has them here, I need you to win that football game the way that Tennessee beat up on you. You should leave no doubt here. You also still just look a little weak at the corner spots. You were weak there last year. Hopefully you got a little bit better this year going into the transfer portal and raising up some players. But I need you to prove that, right? I want to see Jaden Daniels make the leap. He's been a fringe Heisman finalist for like 3 years now. Going back to his time at Arizona State, he's not a guy that's going to throw the ball to the other team, but I need him to make big plays. I need you to show me that it's more than Harold Perkins out there and throwing deep to Kayshon Boutte, who is a New England Patriot now. I need Malik Neighbors to show up, but I'll point this out as I did last week, not last year. LSU got into a fist fight in 11-on-11 in front of media members. Now, while that's an embarrassing look for Brian Kelly, and he's rightfully pissed about it, the last time that I heard about a scrap of that nature at LSU in front of media members, it was Joe Burrow going at Patrick Queen. That team went 15-0, won the 2019 national championship, and had the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback. If you are that sort of feisty at practice, and if that bodes well for the team down there in the boot, then yeah, I could see them finishing in the top 5, but I would like to see it. You want to point to a 1-point win against Florida State? Sure, fine. Do that. I'm going to point out that Florida State won the Cheez-It Bowl against my Oklahoma Sooners, and we're talking about Florida State being a top 10 team in the preseason poll for the AP. Okay, so you're going to play that game again. I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens. All right, a couple other things to point out that I think are just interesting here. I mentioned that I thought LSU got the bump that Utah deserved. It's because, check this out, Utah was ranked number 7 in the 2022 AP preseason poll after winning the Pac-12 title. Remember, LSU did not win the SEC title. LSU won the SEC West. Utah won the Pac-12 championship, debuted at number 7, finished with the Pac-12 championship, finished at number 10 in the same AP poll. Yikes. Then you go into this year, after once again, they won the Pac-12 championship. They beat USC, mighty USC, twice, right? In that season. And they're ranked number 14 in the preseason AP poll. And I'm thinking, if you're Utah, you can't get no respect. You're going to have to go out and get it. Now, the argument against Utah being perhaps a top 10 team is that they lost 4 games last year, right? Including one in the Rose Bowl. They lost to a Penn State team that's really, really good, guys. Like, Penn State went 7-2 in Big Ten play last year. Their losses are Ohio State and Michigan. What else you going to do there? You know what I mean? It's a really good football team. But as I'm thinking through what Utah was able to do last year and how they were able to do it, they got the guy they need coming back. Cam Rising is the guy. He is the straw stirring that drink. And when he's on a football field for them, they can win. When he is not on a football field for them, they can't. He needs to be healthy. Wrap him in bubble wrap and then unleash him on this Pac-12 as he is looking to lead the Utah Utes to a 3-time Pac-12 championship. And that's what he told me he wanted to do. That's why he came back. Nobody done that before. He wanted to do it. I'm here for it. Now, if you want to dunk on them for losing Dalton Kincaid, by all means, but Brant Keithy is right there. They still run the ball really well. Mike Bernard is a dude. Jaquindon Jackson showing me some toughness. That's a guy that played quarterback at Duncanville, quarterback at Texas, and has become a ground and pound tailback at Utah for Kyle Whittingham, who is maybe the toughest football coach in the sport. Like, I think Kyle Whittingham could take a fist fight with any other one of the 131 FBS coaches, because that's the personality he puts on that team. They're going to be nice in the trenches. They're going to get after people. I think Utah is going to surprise AP voters this year because they did it the year before, and they did it the year before that. At some point, you're going to have to give Utah its flowers. I also think it's interesting that Kansas State won the Big 12 championship last year, and the best they can do in the AP is 16. I don't know how to take that if I'm a Kansas State Wildcat, right? I understand I lost Deuce Vaughn, but Will Howard is the guy. When Will Howard became their quarterback, they became a better football team. And Will Howard has the best chance of leading the Kansas State Wildcats to another Big 12 championship since the last great Kansas State quarterback, which is his offensive coordinator in Colin Klein. You know, I'll remind people, Colin Klein was at the Heisman ceremony when Johnny Manziel won that thing in 2012. Will Howard has that sort of talent. He's 6'5". He's 240 pounds. He's got an arm cannon. He can run. He's not afraid of contact. He's basically the prototypical North Dakota State quarterback that Chris Kleiman loved to have. Now, say what you will about what Carson Wentz has been able to do in the NFL, or even that you haven't seen enough of Trey Lance. Those are good quarterbacks, and they're running the same system. I think this is going to be fine. I think the Kansas State Wildcats have a bone to pick here after beating a team that finished national title runner-up on a neutral site for the Big 12 championship. I also think behind them it's interesting. Texas Christian. Man, don't nobody care what you did last year. Don't nobody care that you made the college football playoff, that you beat 13-0 Big Ten champion, all go, no stop, Michigan football in the Fiesta Bowl. You put yourself on them. All anybody wants to talk about is you taking the worst bowl loss in history, 65-7 to a vaunted Georgia football team. So the moment was a little too big for you. You felt like you had something going on a couple times in the first half. It didn't go well. And you were the Cardiac Kids in 2022. There's no getting around that. I mean, anytime you got to run a fire drill to get your field goal unit on there to beat Baylor, to keep your undefeated record, it's not necessarily a good look, right? It doesn't inspire confidence. But you got into the playoff and you acquitted yourselves there. I think at the very least, you could have expected them to make you a top 12 team, maybe. No, you didn't win the Big 12 championship, came just a little bit short. Yes, you lost Max Duggan. Yes, you lost Kendre Miller. Yes, you lost Quentin Johnston, but you added, like, Chandler Morris was the best quarterback on campus at Texas Christian. That's not my opinion. That's Sonny Dykes'. He started him. Then he got hurt. Max Duggan came in, had a Heisman caliber season. Full stop, right? You got dudes at wide receiver and JoJo Earl to replace guys like Quentin Johnston. You got a dude at tailback that I've loved for 5 years in Trey Sanders. I think that dude is ready to go. I think he's the most talented guy that they've had at tailback since Zach Evans. And you know that I thought the world of Zach Evans, and I still do, right? I think they're going to be good on defense because Joe Gillespie is their defense coordinator. A man I have tremendous respect and faith in, quite honestly. That dude is lethal in that 3-3-5, and when they get outmatched, they get outmatched. For the most part, they do a damn good job. They went down to the 40 acres to Texas, and they gave Bijan Robinson the what for? A low-scoring game. Not the kind that, well, we expect Sonny Dykes to win. We might have expected Gary Patterson to win, but they did that. And they did that against a really good Texas team. I expect them to take this number 17, wear it on the chest, and see if they can't get back to the Big 12 championship. All right, a couple other things to point out here. And as far as the college football playoff is concerned, a team that begins unranked can still make the college football playoff. Texas Christian did that last year, coming off 5-7 in 2021, finished national title runner-up in 2022, which I think is really a tip of the cap to the college football playoff selection committee. As producer Tyler points out, they probably got it right in that we don't actually start talking about ranking teams until late October, early November. But this is tradition. That's why we do the AP preseason poll. That's why we do preseason polls. And frankly, we need stuff to talk about going into the college football season, as coaches are getting a little less likely to let us talk to players and have good things to say, or things to say that provide insight. So here we are talking about these rankings. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.